Welcome to Shannons Club TV, where we relive the histories of road and race cars in Australia. In each episode, we open up the archive on our feature car with memorable stories, rare images, and an up-close look at an owner's example.
We'll also get some valuable market advice from the Shannons auctions team. Right now though, let's take a look at the fibreglass British sports car that struggled to equal the sum of its parts, the Daimler SP250.
Daimler's first and only sports car was arguably one of the company's 2 or 3 most important post-war vehicles. The V8-powered fibreglass SP250 made its public debut in the US on the 4th of April 1959 as the Daimler Dart, before Chrysler, who held the rights to the Dart name, forced a change. The car was hastily renamed SP250 after its chassis designation, SP for sports, and 250 denoting the capacity of its superb new 2.5 litre Hemi V8 engine. Problem? To most eyes, the SP250 was almost unbelievably ugly. Although largely based on the Triumph TR3A, its design themes were less resolved. Daimler's first 4-speed manual gearbox for 3 decades was similar to the Triumph's, and the car even boasted similar skittish high-speed handling, while the scuttle shake of early SP250s was even worse than the TRs. Mark, like the Triumph TR3A, the SP250 turned out to be a pretty handy racer, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. It was quite successful despite that bad scuttle shake which you've highlighted, and also a tendency for the doors to spring open if it hit a big bump or it was under hard cornering.
Apart from that, nothing was much
Everything
wrong.
was great.
Yeah.
So that suggested, a lack of torsional rigidity.
Absolutely.
Then a perception that the car was in some way flimsy. Combined with its polarising looks, these things really didn't help sales at all, did they?
Certainly not, no. On the positive side, it was one of few cars of its day to feature 4-wheel disc brakes. Production began in September 1959, and 1960 turned out to be Daimler's final year of independence before the merger with Jaguar. The SP250 has always been rare here and everywhere. It was easily the most powerful roadster on the local market in 1962. Before the MGB or E-Type arrived, its price was £1,995, compared with £1,627 for the Triumph TR3A, £1,540 for the Sunbeam Alpine, and £950 for the Austin Healey Sprite. Few cars, other than the American V8s, the Jaguar Mark II 3.4 and 3.8, and the Valiant, boasted more power and all weighed a great deal more than the Daimler Roadster's 940 kilos. Despite its advanced and compact V8 engine, Daimler's only sports car looked back to the 1950s. Its crude live rear axle and scuttle shake were reminiscent of the Triumph TRs, MG Midgets and the Morgan. Even its fibreglass body concept was shared with the 1953 Chevrolet Corvette. Nevertheless, as the 21st century progresses, it seems likely that enthusiasm for this most unusual of post-war Daimlers can only grow, and Mark, its victory at Mount Panorama has been largely overlooked, I think.
Yeah, correct. It was a genuine Bathurst winner, and with no less than Leo and Pete Gagan at the controls. The potent Hemi-powered SP250 not only found favour with UK and in some cases Australian police as an interceptor for speed enforcement duties. It also attracted the attention of production sports car racers, particularly in the UK, USA, New Zealand and Australia. It's been claimed that more than 130 races in the USA between 1960 and 1967 had SP250s entered, with most sanctioned by the Sports Car Club of America. And it was under the SCCA umbrella that the SP250 achieved its greatest championship success, thanks to Duncan Black, son of Duncan Black Sr. of Black & Decker Power Tool fame. Black dominated the E-Production National Championship on debut in 1960. This prompted the SCCA to move Black up not 1, but 2 divisions the following year, where he faced tougher competition. Even so, he won his second title in 1963 in his fourth and final season in the SP250. John, you know, the US racers used to call this car the Coventry Corvette because it came from Coventry. It had a fibreglass body, a V8 engine, so there were some similarities there.
Did the Corvette door fly open? I don't know. I can't imagine anything built by Chevrolet would have had that problem. Oh, I suppose there's a broad similarity, isn't there? But the paradox is that despite its better looks, its superior looks, the Corvette was actually a lot less of a sports car than the Daimler.
Yeah, but it's interesting though, isn't it, when you look at the parts in this car, a beautiful alloy head, Hemi V8, four-wheel disc brakes, fiberglass body, they're on the right track.
Yes.
But they just
what could possibly go wrong?
just didn't get it together.
No, they didn't. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Sad. The SP250 was a rare sight in Australian production sports car racing as it was not a big seller. Even so, single-minded racers like Max Brunninghausen were competitive in marked sports cars, with his Daimler's compact V8 fed by 4 twin-choke Weber carbs on a unique crossover inlet manifold. The highest profile Aussie racers to dabble in Daimler SP250s were Leo and Pete Gagan, who by the early 1960s were synonymous with success in open-wheelers, sports cars and sedans. That's why importer Hercules Motors, which was struggling to sell the high-priced British cars, engaged the Gagans for track duties in the hope of boosting buyer interest. According to Leo Gagan, they won 23 races, which prompted Hercules to also enter an SP250 in the 1962 Bathurst 6-hour race for sedans and sports cars. Leo and Pete duly delivered on their pre-race favouritism with a dominant 4-lap class victory and outright line honours on the mountain. Combining these results with the North American success, perhaps history has judged this intriguing sports car too harshly. After all, despite its flaws, what other British sports car of the 1950s had a homegrown Hemi V8, 4-wheel disc brakes and a 200k top speed? Don't forget, you can join the conversation on the Shannons Club forums with a host of interesting topics.
I'm Domenica Kincarini Ashworth and I'm here with a beautiful Daimler SP250 red sports car. My husband bought it in the early 80s. The condition of the car when he bought it was average but drivable. Key specs to the car, it's a B-spec car. It's got a hardtop. It has wire wheels and a leather interior trim, which was also an optional extra. And over time, he kept it driving, but it's what they call in the trade a rolling restoration. Did 2 repaints, had the engine rebuilt, the automatic transmission rebuilt. It has a Borg Warner automatic transmission. It has an Edward Turner V8 2.5 litre Hemi engine. It's a big, powerful car in a small body, and it travels very docile in traffic and is beautiful on the open road. For handling, it's a heavy drive, but there's a lot of motor power underneath it. It has a very interesting racing history at Bathurst and was also used by the UK police force for its racing ability. Been a Shannons member very close to 30 years, and we've had very good experiences, otherwise we wouldn't be there for so long. We're loyal customers. Our future plans for the car is to keep it, to maintain it, treasure it, and most importantly, enjoy driving it.
Shannons National Auctions Manager Chris Borrabon is here with the latest market news on the Daimler SP250. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, mate. This car, a bit of a rarity, you know, production over 5-year time frame, but less than, well under 3,000 units produced. So this is very rare on a global scale, isn't it?
Look, it is, and I think we've got a few here in Australia, but we just really don't see many come up at auction or for sale. There might be the odd car come up on a private market if once a year maybe, not even. But otherwise, I think they're fairly tightly held in the club.
So where does it fit in the classic? You know, we talk about the quintessential British sports cars, you know, MGs and what have you. Where does a Daimler SP250 fit in? Is it sort of off on its own?
Good question. I think it probably was like that a little bit at some stage. It was a bit forgotten.
Yeah.
But it's quite a sprightly little car. I mean, you know, it's got that lovely 2.5 litre V8 engine in it, glass body. The styling I don't mind at all. So it's actually quite a nice sports car.
I think Bill Lyons answered the question though, because the E-Type and the Daimler SP250. So I think they
wasn't a fair fight, was it?
No, that's right. Yeah. And look, I mean, you know, did that play a part in, you know, I think the SP250 being a bit more obscure, obviously over the E-Type. Who knows? But look, I think, you know, there are some collectors out there now that are, you know, trying to find some good examples.
I like it more now that I've written the story and thought about it than I ever used to. It's got such an unusual look, hasn't it?
It does have an unusual look, and you know, the thing that frustrates me, I guess, is that you had what become known as the A series cars that were produced before Jaguar took over. They had some serious body flex. When Jaguar took it over, they stiffened up the chassis quite a lot. But there's no sort of clear indication of the difference, visual difference between an A or a B series.
You have to go to Mount Panorama, wouldn't you, and have to see whether the driver's door flew. Wouldn't that be the way?
Exactly. But yeah, I think it's probably one of the misunderstood cars, because there was a transition there with the pre-Jaguar owned and post-Jaguar owned cars.
Yes.
But it's not really clearly defined when you look at them.
Yeah. And look, you know, probably the club is the best place to start talk to the clubs about it. You know, there is quite a following, I think, especially in the UK for these cars. And look, the parts, again, you know, available mostly for the cars. I mean, because it does share its drivetrain with other models. So,
Well, from what I've seen, though, because of that, because Jaguar bought Daimler, now when you've got specialist Jaguar repairers, they embrace Daimler cars. So you're not going to be an orphan if you own one of these cars. You'll find Jaguar guys are very happy to service them and find parts for them, everything. So that's good.
And really a very interesting vehicle, don't you think?
It is.
Daimler's only sports car ever.
Well, I think that's the attraction of it, because it's you could actually go out and buy one and not see another one on the road for the next 12 months. So it's a bit unique in that context.
But how's that going to affect values? We talk about, you know, production way under 3,000 units ever. You know, is that going to drive its value over time? If it has been underappreciated up till now, is that going to start pushing it up because it's rarity?
We've seen the values of the SP250 actually driven up in the last handful of years.
So it'll be a good investment.
I think it is. I think, as you said, given the numbers that were produced, it's bound to be.
Okay.
Terrific.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much for joining us, Chris. And remember, you'll find all the latest auction results on the Shannons Club website. If you'd like your own competition image of the Daimler SP250, visit AutoPix, Australia's most comprehensive motorsport photo archive.
It's interesting reflecting on this car, isn't it? You think when Jaguar bought Daimler in 1960, it might have secured its future, but it actually sealed its fate, didn't it?
Absolutely right. Well, I mean, they had the E-Type Jaguar coming, and they weren't going to let the Daimler SP250 take away any glory from that. But they did find a use for it.
They did.
They had two versions. Daimler had created two brilliant Hemi V8s, the 2.5 which went in the SP250 and the 4.5 which went in the awesome, largely forgotten Daimler Majestic Major.
Magnificent.
The fastest limousine in the world in its time. And they even thought about putting that 4.5 litre engine in the Mark 10, but they didn't. But they did put the 2.5 litre engine from the SP250 into a Daimler badged version of the Mark II.
Which was a very popular car.
Which was actually a very sweet little car.
I'd also think too, like styling wise, I mean, you think of the beautiful looking Jaguars that were all created under Sir William Lyons' control. He used to put styling bucks out in the middle of a huge area, he'd walk right around them, he would fiddle with them until he got them absolutely right. Now, if you think
he couldn't draw, he didn't draw.
No, but can you imagine what that SP250 looked like for him.
It would have offended his sensibilities.
There is just no way that he would have been able to accept the appearance of that car under the Jaguar.
No,
absolutely. No. You know, when you look at the E-Type,
it had to go. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
It had to go. So it really, I think it was doomed pretty much from the start.
I think that's right. Well, we hope you've enjoyed reflecting on the polarising Daimler SP250, and we'll catch you next time on Shannons Club TV.